All right, Hurley. Here we go.
I know, right?
Hello and welcome to Eat the Damn Cake. I am Carly.
And I'm Maddie.
And we're back again this week and we have a special guest today. So I'm so excited to welcome someone that I know personally who has ridden with me at Bespoke for a very long time, but also works in the food and beverage industry and is known as an intro sommelier. Welcome, Catherine Corbo.
Hi. Thank you guys.
I mean, I missed the most important part. She's running the Boston Marathon for the first time ever.
Gonna attempt.
In 2 weeks,
stop.
right?
Walk run. Yeah, 2 weeks. Oh my God, 2 weeks from today.
That is so exciting.
Oh my
God.
It's going to be fine.
Honestly, I can't even imagine because it was maybe 6 or 7 weeks ago. Someone offered me a bib last minute and I was like, yes. And everyone was around me was like, no, you with your ribs? No, absolutely not.
Well, yeah,
Sit
because
back
you'd have to
down.
like triple down on the training.
Literally,
Yeah.
though. That's so exciting. I'm literally so happy that you're
It
doing
was
that.
a bucket list for forever. Like I've been saying that I've been wanting to do it for like 10 years. And finally I was able to get the schedule this winter that I was able to train correctly.
Amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. I'm
Oh
super
my
excited.
gosh, that is I'm so jealous. I really do want, it's a bucket list item for me too.
I don't know if it is for me. Maybe one day.
I get very emotional watching it. You will see me at the halfway point, probably crying my
I will
eyes
be there
out.
too.
Oh, awesome. You guys are going to be at the 13.1
Yep.
in Wellesley.
Yep,
Yep.
I'll be at Bespoke, and
Yep.
there's a DJ there. It's so fun.
Perfect.
It's literally the the halfway point is a party.
I cried last time I was there.
I get so
sobbing.
emotional
absolutely.
watching people get to the halfway point. I'm literally in hysterics.
I
over
get
and over.
emotional by myself. I'm like out for my own like 8 miler, and it's the last mile. I'm like, you got this.
Yeah.
You can get through.
You have to be
so
your own
crazy.
cheerleader.
You have to be, yeah.
So, like we said, she's running the Boston Marathon, but also while she works in the food and bev industry, she is also a fitness and health enthusiast and advocate to try to make a balance out of her lifestyle, but also staying healthy and being able to incorporate those things that you need in order to stay strong and, you know, balance mental health and physical health. So I think it just makes so much sense for you to be here because I think a lot of people in the food and bev industry probably do struggle to find that balance.
Yeah, it's challenging for sure.
Like
And I know I can speak from firsthand. I know you make it a priority because I've seen you
You have to.
repeatedly at Bespoke, and
My happy place.
yeah. But I kind of want to bring it back to the beginning. When's your birthday?
what sign are
What
you?
sign are you?
So I researched this because I knew you guys were going to ask.
We're
like,
so predictable now.
So May 19th, so Taurus.
Oh my gosh.
I love a Taurus. I
Yeah.
love a Taurus.
Strong.
Yes.
Yes.
Both.
Strong-willed, bold.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's May 19th, so it's on that cusp
Of Gemini.
Gemini.
I'm a
Yes.
Gemini. You're 10 days before me.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yay.
she is. And I'm a Pisces, and Taurus and Pisces are the most compatible for each other.
Yeah.
There
So
we
we're
go.
compatible.
So that's why we like got along.
I
Jumped up and
immediately
gave you a hug.
I know. I just knew we were going to be besties. I just could tell you were a Taurus.
So where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? And how did you kind of get to where you were today?
So I grew up in Taunton.
Oh my gosh.
My parents, I lived in the same house for 25 years.
Love it.
And when I was probably about 12, my parents got a summer home in Mashpee and New Seabury, which is
So
how
fun.
I kind of,
Best.
my God, best summers of my life.
I was going to
like-
say that's probably
It was unbelievable.
So
like
fun.
reminiscing. It's unbelievable. It's amazing. So we did the summer home. So I was going kind of like back and forth. We went between Taunton and the Cape a lot. In the summertime, we were fortunate enough that we were able to like stay down there.
so
So
fun.
when I got old enough, I was like, well, I need a job.
A summer
Because
job.
my dad's like, if you want to drive the Jeep, you need to be able to put gas in it. So I'm like, all right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair, Dad. So I was like, all right, well, what can I do? So I ended up going to the New Seabury Golf Club, and they were like, well, we need a server for functions, so like the weddings and stuff like that. And I started working those on, the weekends, and it was so much fun.
That
You're
sounds
basically,
awesome.
like running a party.
Yeah.
is what
No,
it is.
literally, though.
People are always in a good mood. They're always happy. So then when I came time for me to, start thinking about schools, I knew I wanted to be in the city for college.
Hospitality.
Yep. So, I went to Emmanuel College.
Oh,
Amazing.
And they didn't have a hospitality program. So I just did communications and I minored in management.
Perfect.
And I still, even when I was in school, I was going back to work weddings on the weekends if there was like a big one and they needed me. That's how much I loved it. I was like,
It is a lot of fun. I feel like I have never worked like an event like that, but I have a lot of friends that work weddings and they're like, it's really fun and less stressful than like if you were to be like in a restaurant.
Yes.
Serving instead. Like it's
right, because everyone
higher energy.
Exactly, because they're all there and they want to party.
Yeah.
They're having a great time.
And you're like, love this for us.
Yeah, it's great. And then it's like you can see like all the dresses and what people are wearing. It's amazing. So then when it came time for me my senior year to pick an intern, because you have to like do an internship your senior year.
Okay.
I actually went to the food service provider like on campus. So it was called Bon Appetit Management Company. It's a corporate catering company that caters to schools, universities, and like corporate offices.
Cool.
And they were like, yeah, we've never had an intern, but like you made a really good case. So sure. Like, I'm like, okay.
You're like first intern ever. Okay.
Literally, I would think I was like the first and only like Bon Appetit Management Company intern. Like it was so much fun. And I just like hung out with the catering director and I got like so much experience about like how kitchens work and like scheduling, like chefs and making menus. It was so much fun. And then when I graduated, so I graduated in 2011, Bon Appetit was opening on the MIT campus.
Oh my
and they were
gosh.
going to be the food service provider for MIT at that time. So they asked me if I wanted to work
like
there, be one of the
spearhead it?
managers. Yeah. So it was super fun. I learned more, I think, in that first like year or two out of college at that job than I think I have in any like
when you're thrown
position.
into it,
literally.
You have like no choice.
They
You're
were
like,
like, have fun.
Yeah.
They're like put me on the loading dock. I'm like, bye. Like, I'll figure it out at 22. I'm good.
literally though.
my
You're like,
gosh.
okay.
It was scary. It was
Off I
a little
go.
scary. Yeah.
So you spearheaded MIT by yourself, like management?
No, so the MIT campus has 5 like live-in dining halls. So their dining halls are inside of the dorms. So I was just like one of the managers of one of the houses, like one of
Which
the
I
dining
mean,
halls.
yeah, that's still a lot.
Still a big bite to chew
I
off
was
as your
like,
first
this
job.
is wild, like. But it was so much fun, and then I ended up being part of the team that, like, in the summers, if we were opening a new account, I would go to the new accounts with a couple of other managers, and we would like set up the new accounts. And oh my god, it was so much
Wow.
fun. I still talk to like all of my
Yeah, I was
bosses
gonna
and
say,
stuff
I can
on
only
there.
imagine.
They were like at my wedding, like I had a Bon Appetit table.
Oh my gosh.
They critiqued the food the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure. I was gonna say they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like the fillet was a little bit well done.
They're like,
I
we
just
could
wanna tell you.
have catered your wedding.
Yeah, basically. I'm like, sorry guys. Like,
I love that. That's amazing. So after that job, where did you go next?
So I was with Bon Appetit for about 5 years doing I did the marketing. I actually went back to Emmanuel College where I graduated for them and did the marketing there.
Amazing.
And created the first, I think it was like the first Instagram page. Because this was, I mean, you're talking like 10 years ago now. So Instagram was kind of new. And,
Yeah.
now obviously they all have like Twitter, Instagram, everything.
Right.
And then after about probably 5 years of being there, I was like, okay, like, I just kind of wanted to see what else was out there.
Yeah, but you have your experience. You have a resume
Right.
built up with them.
Right,
Yeah.
I wanted to dabble. So my boyfriend, who's now my husband at the time, he was working for a private golf club, and he's like, maybe you should look into private clubs.
Yeah.
So I just started like sending my resume out to different clubs, and there was a club that responded that was in Newton, Mass.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so
Oh
I
my
worked
gosh.
there. I was
Near
kind of
our
like
hometown.
Yeah.
I love Newton. My aunt
Yeah.
and my cousin, they live in Newton.
Yeah, it's a
And
great spot.
Amazing.
No, it's
like
great.
perfect in between suburb city. Yeah, it has and lots of great restaurants around there too.
Yes.
So many.
And what was awesome was that I stayed, like when I was working there, their house was literally across the street from the club. So I stayed with them.
That's
Oh my
great.
And I'm like, Chestnut Hill was like 5 minutes away. I'm like,
That
this place is great.
I know,
like,
it's
I wanna
wonderful.
live here forever.
Newton is
So,
awesome.
Yeah, Newton's awesome. So I was, I was there for, it was a little over a year. And then that's when I had gotten engaged. So
Love
my
that.
husband was down the Cape and I was in Newton, and I'm like, all right.
Were you
this
doing
is-
long distance this whole time?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah, this whole
gosh.
time. this whole time. So I said, all right, we need to, kind of we need to figure this out now.
Yeah.
So we got engaged, and that's when I left the club and we moved in together, because we couldn't move in together until we were engaged. That was my 93-year-old grandmother's wish.
Oh my God.
Please don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, all right, Nan.
Joe and I are basically on that track right now. So.
So we moved to the Pine Hills in Plymouth.
Oh, fun. So did you stay in Newton and make that commute, or did you?
Nope. So we moved in together because we had gotten engaged. So
Yeah.
then I left the job in Newton and we moved in together in Plymouth. And then I had gotten a job back on the Cape, and that's when I went to another club.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, another club down the Cape.
Oh my gosh. So I feel like you have had so many experiences at different
In the past 10 years.
places.
Right. So a lot of people are like, oh, wow, like you've had, a lot of jobs. But in
my
this
gosh.
industry, it's like, I mean, it's a lot of turnover, and it's not necessarily because you want to leave a place or something, but there's just so many opportunities, and there's so many different ways of personal growth that you can go. So it's always kind of just chasing the next
Absolutely.
big thing.
Oh
right.
my gosh, 100%. Because I mean, we only know a small percentage of that because we grew up similar around the restaurant industry with what our dad does.
Mm-hmm.
But you see managers at restaurants, and you'll go to a different restaurant a year later, they'll be the GM at that restaurant. You know what I mean? And you'll see them all over the place. And there's so many different types of people you work with, different positions, different learnings with each one. So I am a firm believer in getting all that life experience.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you better. It betters yourself in the long
Absolutely.
run.
I feel like it also helps you choose exactly what you like versus what you don't like. And
definitely.
speaking of, how did you get into wine?
So after the second club, when
Yeah.
we moved back to the Cape, I was there for about 2 years, and then there was a close friend of my husband and I's who owned a restaurant in Falmouth, and we used to go in there. It was our date night spot.
The best.
Whenever Dave and I wanted a date night, we would go there. And he had happened to mention when we were in for dinner one night how he was looking for a new floor manager, and I was like, all right, I'll, give my resume. Why not?
Yeah.
Send my resume out. And it was kind of a long process. I remember sending the resume. I didn't hear from him for about 2-3 months. And then I came in for an interview, and then I didn't hear again for probably another month. And then he offered me the job. So, and that was actually my longest. I was there for 3.5 years.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing. I absolutely loved that restaurant, everything about it. But so the owner, he was a wine guy. So part of the restaurant, it was also a wine bar.
Love.
So you it was a prerequisite. I had to really start doing my research.
Yeah.
And I was going to be able to sell, correctly to customers. So the person who was in the position before me was a gentleman who, he was a certified som.
Oh,
so
amazing.
I kind of wanted to, do the same, be just as good, be great for the restaurant and have that knowledge. So that's when I started being all right, I want to do this so that I can better your restaurant and I can have the knowledge for myself. And it's now turned into something that it's a fun hobby for me. I think it's awesome.
So while you're going through that som training, for those of you who don't know what a som is, sommelier, it's a expert in wine.
Expert.
Yeah, in wine. There are water sommeliers too, which I feel like I could do.
Yeah, because you can tell the difference
Yes.
between Dasani and Aquafina.
Yes.
Literally.
When you were talking about your marathon training, she was mentioning that she's been drinking Gatorade because of electrolytes prior. So Evian supposedly is the best, or Fiji is two of the best waters with the most natural electrolytes because of where they come from, the source.
Okay.
Ones that have added electrolytes like Sencha and Smart Water and Core Hydration are actually not good. And
Interesting.
I'm heartbroken because all I drank was Essentia for the longest time. But
Yeah, I drank Essentia for a long
Oh
time.
yeah, because I thought that
The
was
alkaline.
yep.
Yeah.
The
But
water.
Evian has a very thick taste.
Honestly, if it's cold, it's way better. If
Okay.
it's lukewarm, it does taste weird. But
See, I like room temp water.
Me
me
too.
too. I'm the
Like
same
cold
way.
water.
I never
Teeth-
drink cold
my
water.
little teeth get cold. My big teeth, but they get cold.
They do.
So anyways, wondering about your som training and what it entails and how much added work that was on top of your already job.
Right. So I decided, okay, this is, what I want to do. So then you have to look at the schedule, because I did it through, it's called the Court of Master Sommeliers, and it's kind of like the worldwide institution for you to get all of these, trainings. So I looked at the schedule, and they were offering the level 1 testing here in Boston. They have it at Grill 23.
Oh, okay.
That was super cool, being able to go there and like
I
take
know.
classes there.
That is really cool.
So I said, okay, so that's in February. This was probably like November that I decided this. So then you have to get the workbook, and they basically are like, okay, like it's up to you to study and learn this material. And then you go to the class at Grill 23 and you take the test, and you like either pass or fail.
That's it? You literally just have to study on your own and then go.
So for the level 1, yeah. So
Okay.
it was a big book, and there was all these different chapters, and there was tests at the end of the chapters. So what I did was like I read through the whole book, and then I went back and like to the quiz questions on the back of the book. I would like do the quizzes, and then make sure that the answers were right, and then I made flashcards. So then I went back and made flashcards. So I was at like the host stand at the restaurant, like with
Studying.
my flashcards.
Oh,
and I was
my
lucky enough
gosh.
where like they let me, like my boss was okay with me studying, while I was there, because it was something that I was doing for the restaurant.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was the things that I like learned that I never would have.
Yeah, I'm
Like
sure.
the word phylloxera, like apparently it's like this virus that can grow on the vines of grapes that can make the wine basically like you can't, like if your vines like get phylloxera, then you can't make wine. So it's like detrimental to a vineyard if they get that.
my
But like I
gosh.
never knew that.
No, me neither.
And I'm like,
just
I
learned
love the
something new.
word.
Yeah, it is a
like
cool word. It's, like,
phylloxera.
it's so big. So it's
Big
a
word.
big word.
Wow.
Exactly.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So
Oh gosh.
but when you get up to the higher levels, that's when it gets a little bit more challenging, because you have to be able to do, it's called deductive tasting. So it's when you get a wine that's put in front of you, and you have to taste it and smell it, and you essentially have to say what it is.
Like know the grape.
Know the note. Yeah. So you have to kind of talk yourself through it. There's like basic guiding points that you have to, like, there's questions that you have to answer to yourself and obviously to the panel, like before you can decide what wine it is. So like, what are you smelling? What's like, is it is there tannins in it? Like, where do you think it's from? Like, what part of the world? Yeah, it's.
I feel like Roger could do that.
Honestly, I feel like he would. And I think we one time did a taste test with him, and he like got it right away.
Killed it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one time we did like a really cheap red and then like a more expensive like red, two of the same, like let's say it was a Cab Sav. And he got it, and like Nick didn't, and I didn't. Like we were all like, "This is the expensive one." They're like, "That one's $4.99." We're like, "Okay."
Which actually, like honestly, a lot of times, like just because it's an inexpensive wine doesn't mean that it's a bad wine.
Right.
Like those Boda boxes, Boda box is not bad.
I
at
know.
all.
Boda box is good. We have one.
Nice. Yeah.
We do have a Boda box
Yes, we do.
on tap, baby.
Literally.
I
It just
literally
comes right out. You're good. No messy cork.
I
It's
know,
fine.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Keeps really well too.
So now I want to get more in. So that is your food and bev background.
Yeah.
Now I want to get into your exercise enthusiast background, where that started, where your love for exercise came in, et cetera, et cetera.
So my mom had been a runner and a weightlifter. From so she always tells stories. She was an exercise, like an aerobics instructor at the YMCA.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh. I
was
love
she
that.
like the step one?
Yes.
Yeah.
With like the weights around the ankle.
I wish
and
they had those still.
leotards.
Yep.
The leotards that are like a thong.
Yeah, when it's like, call on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that music video.
And she actually had a DJ that made her mixtapes for her classes.
What?
Yes.
Your mom's
like,
really
she
cool.
was ahead of her time.
I need to get in
Isn't
touch
that
with her.
crazy? Because you
Yeah.
have to like hold the microphone in front of like the radio to like
Yes.
get. I don't even know.
Oh
how
my
it works,
gosh.
But yeah. So she taught at the YMCA. So she always says that I was like in the carrier. Like in the room with her when
Just
she was
chilling.
like teaching her
You're like,
classes.
little baby.
Like Duke next to me when I'm teaching spin. Yeah.
Exactly. So I've kind of always just been, I've always been around it. I started like kind of just going to the gym with her because that's where she, like when she would pick me up from school, like that's where we would go. We'd go to the Y.
Yeah.
So, you know, so I kind of was always, you know, active in that sense. I played tennis in high school, and then I played a little bit in college as well.
It's awesome.
Decided that playing a sport in college wasn't really my thing,
a lot
especially
of
being
work.
in the middle of the city of Boston. I'm
yeah.
like, I don't want to go to practice right now.
Yeah. Don't blame you.
Yeah.
I
Don't blame
really
you
don't
ever.
blame you.
Yep.
Yeah.
We were stuck in Amherst, so there's really nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So you're like, practice sounds good.
Yeah.
We're like, sure.
Social hour.
So then I remember it was the first summer. So I had taken spin class before. When I was at Emmanuel, Simmons College offered different type of
Spin?
They had spin, they had yoga, they had like all these. It was really awesome, and we were able to utilize that because it was part of the colleges of the Fenway.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it for free. It was amazing.
That's
so
wow.
I
So
went
nice.
and I'm like, this is so much fun. And it was like, there was no shoes, you know, there was no like microphone on the instructor. It was like super raw. We were in like a side room, you know, but I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I love everything about this. So after I graduated, I was like on the hunt for like the next spin class. And that's when Bespoke had the pop-up in Falmouth. That was next to Pizza One and Subs
The
2 with
first-
the black curtain.
Yeah, I never taught there. That was 5
It was
years ago,
wa-
6
it was
years
like
ago.
It was the very first like
Yeah,
not
it was
Federal
like
Street.
6 or 7 years ago. That yeah.
That's wild.
Wow.
It was crazy.
It's
And
before
did you, was
Wellesley.
it like love at first
sight.
Yeah.
Love at first sight. I was just like, I was hooked.
Oh,
I
it's-
loved it. It was
Do you
so
remember
much
who
fun.
taught the first class?
Oh boy, you know what? I think it was she's not with Bespoke anymore. She was a marathon runner. I think her name was Katie, but I'm not sure.
Oh, Katie Doller.
yes, that's who it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know her. She's awesome. She teaches at Lifetime now, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she was like my first class, and then I took one of Allie's classes.
Yep.
Yep.
So
And you just were like, this is it.
and then when I was working in Newton, I would Uber to Federal.
Oh my gosh.
That commitment.
That is
Well,
commitment.
I wasn't gonna like try to park around
No.
there. Like that's a nightmare in itself. Like absolutely not. So I was like, all right, I'll just Uber.
It's
like,
not that far.
The Uber was more than the class.
Yeah, probably.
There and back, but I'm like, I need to spin. Like,
Yeah.
Like what
Oh
am I
my
gonna
gosh.
do?
So you were like an OG Bespoke City
I was.
person.
I
gosh.
actually applied to be I auditioned.
You
No
did?
way.
Way back in the day. I probably should have told you this.
Oh
my
my
gosh.
gosh. I had no idea.
Embarrassed.
That's
No, don't
yeah,
be embarrassed.
That's not embarrassed.
I it was when I was I was at the club in Newton, and they had asked for, you know, if you wanted to be part of the family, and I auditioned. Zero experience, like zero. I had like no mentor, like no nothing. So obviously, like I knew, but
Yeah.
it was
That's so-
it was
so
super
cool.
fun.
That's how I went into
Yeah.
my first audition with Bespoke too. And
Yeah.
I didn't make it through the program the first time.
first
so I
time.
totally get it.
Yep.
That it like once you have the experience under your belt, you're like, oh, that makes sense why I didn't get it at first. And
Exactly. Now that I've like been spinning for so long, I
You're
already
like-
know. I'm like, oh yeah, I had like no beat when I auditioned.
That's-
Like I was just like
yeah.
going with the motion.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, this is great.
I
Perfect.
think of my first audition and I cringe. So I totally get like I literally
Those
am like,
moments where you like think back and you get shivers down your spine.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no.
You're like, oh, that's embarrassing.
yeah, and the
Yes.
songs I
Secondhand
chose, and I'm like, I've never played that song in class ever.
Yeah.
Now, like, why did I choose that song?
Hey,
You know,
learning. Is there anything like else you really look forward to? I mean, running, is that another big thing that you
No.
so you don't
No, I actually hate it.
I actually hate running too.
I
Yeah.
don't enjoy it. I have to be completely honest. I have not enjoyed this process, this marathon training process. It has pushed my limits, though. I will say that it has challenged me in a way that I never, would have even thought it would have. It's like just pushing yourself, because it's just literally you in the road. And you're out there, and I'm like staring down the barrel of like a 13-mile run on like a Saturday afternoon when all of my friends are day drinking, and I have to like go out there and do 13 miles.
I
It's
just
like,
that hurts my head to think about.
It
and
hurts
it's
my heart.
hard. Yeah, it's hard and it's challenging, and everyone's like, have you gotten that runner's high yet? And I'm like, no.
That's nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, haven't experienced that. Like, I'm just real thirsty all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm hungry all the
Yeah.
time. and
I know the
gosh.
training is so rigorous.
it's brutal.
Yeah, I want you to talk about how you fit training into your lifestyle right now.
So right now, it's been I've been lucky because when I left the restaurant, I was able to, I'm back in private clubs now on the Cape. So we are closed during the winter.
Okay.
But we still go in and do like clerical work, like planning for like the upcoming season. So
Right.
I was like a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 for the first time in my life ever.
Wow.
And that's what prompted me to like be like, okay, like if I'm going to do it, it's going to be like this year.
Yeah.
You know,
Good
because
for
I
you.
finally had the schedule to be able to do it.
How did that schedule feel for you compared to like the past
It was weird. It took a long time.
to adjust?
It took a long time. Like I was like sitting at home at 5:30 on a Wednesday, and
You're like, what the hell?
Like, what am I
Dumb.
supposed to do? I'm like, there's nothing on TV.
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
I'm like, I don't want to go out to dinner again.
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do with my time right now?
I know.
So that's why I
because-
started doubling with you.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm like, well, I guess I'll just go to the
you
studio.
did.
Yeah.
She came to my 5:30, 6:30.
I love that.
Every Wednesday.
So when you used to work in restaurants, you know, because I mean, restaurants, when you work in them, you're there pretty early and then you're there pretty late.
So it depends on kind of what's going on
Yeah.
that day. When I was at the restaurant, I would be in there like 11:30 noon,
Mm-hmm.
and on I would say probably Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday, I would get out at maybe like 11,
Okay.
and then the other days, so like Friday, Saturday, I was there until 12:30.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I was
then
doing
would
like
you
12
get
to
up-
12.
and
like, it
then
was
you
the
would get
normal
up
thing. And then I would get up. So specifically, like I think the hardest day was, so Friday I would go into the restaurant at 11:30, and then I wouldn't get out until like midnight, and then I would go to the Ride 60 on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Because I knew that was going to be the only time that I was going to be able to fit that workout in. 'Cause
Yeah.
unfortunately, like I don't like my jobs. It's not 8 hours.
Right.
No.
No matter how hard you try, like it's
It
not
won't
an
be.
8 hour.
No.
It will never be an 8-hour job.
No.
So I was like, I have to squeeze this in if I want to work out.
But at least you have that mentality and that realization. I once tried to do restaurant managing in my pursuit of jobs.
Really?
Yeah, she did.
It was events. Yeah.
Do you want a job? Just gonna,
know.
look at your face.
I did
Carly's
not
like, I
like
didn't
it.
like it.
She's like, no, I'm good.
Honestly, as long as it's day shifts only. No, I
me and
did
Carly
not.
like,
no nights and weekends and no holidays.
Yes, they asked me to like stay late a couple times, and I'd have the biggest attitude and be like, "Are you sure you really need me? There are 4 managers on. Like, why do you need me?" And they're like, "Well, you planned this event." And I was like, "I can pass it off." Like, yeah. So I did not like that. That was 2 months I lasted there. So
It's not for
remember
everybody.
that.
it's like it's not for everybody.
It's not.
It's
so
really hard.
I was so
Just like
tired.
retail's not
I
for
lost my
everybody.
workout routine when I did it. So I applaud you because
Yeah.
I was so tired. You're on your feet.
always-
You're in high heels. You have to look nice every day. I'm like, I am where I'm meant to be right now.
I had
look
like
at
a
me.
closet at the restaurant.
You do?
Like, so I would go in at 11:30 with like no makeup and my clothes like on a hanger.
Yeah.
And then when it came time for dinner service, I would like put my face on and like
Yep.
get dressed. And I
Oh
lived
my
like they used to
gosh.
laugh at me because I had like I had shoes all under my desk. All my outfits were
That's
hanging
smart,
behind
though.
me. Yeah.
Think smarter, not harder.
Absolutely.
That's way better because you don't have to be like as uncomfortable for the entire day.
Exactly. Exactly. I would be in like yogas and a sweatshirt.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's no like guests in the restaurant, then why
Right.
do you need to be all dressed up?
Exactly. But I will say it's not always been easy. Like it's not all the time that I'm like that. I go through spells of, say I have something
Like
challenging
ruts.
that's going on in my life and I tend to shut down.
Yeah.
So those are the times when I probably do need to work out the most, but I just like, I can't.
Yeah,
in my
it's
mindset.
hard.
That's when it's challenging.
We actually were going through this with clients recently. We had a couple clients that were like, yeah, I'm just kind of going through a rut right now. We're like, you should show up to your session still. It will make you feel so much better. It really even if it has nothing to do with working out, mentally, it helps you feel so much better.
Right.
It really does. And even for me personally, like when I know like I'm feeling not so great and I'm like, all I want to do is go home and climb into bed and go to sleep. And like, that's all I want to do and not use my brain. Then I'm like, if I work out, I know I won't feel that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is really hard to push through that sometimes. So it's okay when you can't. But what would you say your advice is to people when you are feeling that way? Like, say you don't make it to your workout, what do you do instead to try to kind of like help yourself?
Well, I think the sense of community. So whenever I am going through something like that, I always reach out to like, people that I know will be in that class.
Yeah.
Or that can kind of like, talk me out of it, encourage me to hype me up. Exactly. But it's just something that I've learned that I have to just snap out of myself.
Yep.
And I need to say to myself, okay, like enough is enough. Like you had your week that you wallowed. Yeah. And you didn't, so there you go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We like all have that. So it's so normal. And it's like nice when you hear other people though, because I'm sure we have people that work in food and bev or like a similar industry and they probably go through the same stuff. And they're like, shit, like how do I dig myself out of this right now?
And if you're not careful, it can turn into like months.
Oh.
And next thing you know, you haven't worked out in like 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're in
Absolutely.
like, you're
in a bigger rut. It's a downward. It could be a downward spiral if you're not careful.
Yeah.
always.
Do you find that your colleagues, like in the past or currently whatever, are on board with you and like in the same headspace of like maintaining this work-life balance and exercise balance? Or do you find that you're like a black sheep amongst them where you are so focused on keeping that physical, mental, and work health?
Question. That is a great question. I've always kind of come in, no matter what job I've had, would come in off the bat and be like, if possible, I don't want to be here on Saturday until say 11 because I want to do an 8 o'clock or an 8:15 class. So I kind of like set that standard. But there's a lot of times where, if there's an event or something that's kind of an all-day thing, like I have to be okay with knowing that I'm not going to be able to work out that day.
Yeah.
It has gotten better. Like at the club that I'm at now, a couple of the managers, like they spin as well and they work out as well. So they understand.
Yeah.
And they kind of know where I'm coming from. But then there's been other places that it's almost like, I don't want to say like they mock me, but I'll like come in and they're like,
oh,
what'd you
your
do?
workout?
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, I'm like, oh, what did you guys do this morning? And they're like, woke up and came here.
Yeah.
Like, what did you do? I was like, oh, I did a class. And they're like, oh,
yeah,
good for you.
Yeah, kind of like almost talk down to you.
Yeah.
For
It's
like
not so much
prioritizing
anymore.
your health and not now, but like in the past.
In the past, for sure.
Yeah. But if people don't do it, like they don't understand the benefits and like how important it might be for you.
Right.
What I'm wondering though is for being a level 1 som, like I'm going to be honest, I don't know that many female soms. Like every time I've gone to a restaurant, it's usually a man.
Yep.
So like how is it kind of being a trailblazer for women in a male dominated like
it is still so male dominated. It's
crazy.
It's brutal. So just like quick story, when I was at the restaurant, the person who had the position before me was like an older gentleman. He had been in the industry for a long time. He knew everyone. And when people would come in and he would be, hi, how are you tonight at the host stand? They would always assume that he was like the owner. And then when I was in that position, like
you the host?
Yes. I know.
hiss.
I know.
You're like, are you
Anger.
kidding me?
And then they would be like, my servers would come over and be like, oh, table 2 wants to talk to the som. And I'm like, okay. So I'd go over and I'd be like, hi, how are you tonight? What can I help you with for, can I help you choose a wine? And they're like, oh, you're the som. It would be like some like older gentleman. And he'd be like,
you're like, yeah, I know more than you. Buckle up.
It was like, and there was so many times that I had to be like, yes, it's me. How can I help you? Like you have to put on that face, but it is so hard.
I can imagine.
It is not, it's challenging in so many different ways. That really, it started to grind me down when people would, want to talk to the manager and they wouldn't expect it to be me. Or
give you attitude that it was you.
Exactly.
And you're like, no, it's me.
But it's me. Like those memes when like she like turns around and then like goes like this. And like, hi. Or like, oh, let me go get the manager.
Oh, it's me. Like,
I mean, I could never. I wish I could do that.
I know.
Awesome.
I'll be right back.
See, that's why I would not do well in that industry because I would just say
anger would kind of come through.
You would do that. You don't care.
Like, oh, hello. It's
peekaboo. Hello there. Well, I think it's amazing that you're doing what you're doing and like with such grace and strength. And a lot of people can learn from you in that. In any field that is often like even the fitness industry, like a lot of personal trainers that we always say, like a lot of people sometimes look and be like, I want a guy because like they look stronger.
Exactly.
And it's like, I think a lot of people are unlearning that, and it's time people start unlearning that in the food and bev industry. Like it's not just for men. Like
Exactly.
women are badass and can do the same thing. And
Yeah.
you know what?
You need to be tough, and
Yeah.
you need to, you know,
thick skin.
you need a very thick skin, and you need to be able to like, I mean, like I'm 5 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like in a kitchen trying to manage these guys that are like 20, 25 years older than me. Like,
Yep.
you know, it's a challenging thing, and you have to just like kind of put it out of your mind and say, no, this is my position and this is why I'm here. And I know what I'm doing and I know I'm good at it.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you go in and kind of demand respect right away, or do you wait for to like feel any
You
sort
have
of
to earn it.
disrespect? Okay.
Yeah.
You have to earn it. I always said in the restaurant specifically when I was in the restaurant, not so much in the private clubs because it's kind of a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Totally.
But when I was in the restaurant, I always said that I let my staff, they just have to do their jobs because that's why we're all here. We're all adults.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you could just do your job and I will be fine and we will be great. It's when you stop doing your job that there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I think
that
that's
makes
a
sense.
really good way
I think
to do
that's
it.
very fair.
Absolutely. Because I'm not just going to like come in and be like, all right, I'm the manager. now."
Yeah.
like slam the door
Watch
behind
out,
me.
everybody.
I'm the manager now. So.
So we have a couple listener questions.
Okay.
Let's see. One of our listeners asked, how do you unwind at the end of the day?
Is that Alexis?
No.
Oh, I wanted to see what hers was. Alexis asked a question.
She's so excited. She texted me at like 7:30 this morning.
I love it.
Shout out, Alexis.
I'm so excited.
Shout out
Alexis.
to Alexis. We love you. We love you. But what would you say? Sorry.
How do you unwind
Wind
at the
down.
end of the day?
All right, so this is like such not an exciting answer. I go to bed.
I love it.
I
As you
literally
should.
go home
Yep.
and I wash my face.
Yep.
And I go to bed.
Are you able to fall asleep right away?
So I'll try to like put like TV on in the background
Yeah.
or something, but mostly I can, yeah. And I know
Wow.
that I'm lucky because a lot of people are like, oh, I didn't get to
On
bed
a
until
high.
right, exactly. Like
Yeah.
they're flying around me. I'm like, no,
You just crash.
I just need to go to bed. Mhm.
That's
Good for you.
honestly
Yeah.
wonderful. I wish I could do the same if I'm out late. Alexis asked, what do you do to stay motivated while training for the marathon? What's your number one motivator?
So my number one motivator for the marathon is, I think, this past, couple of years, more specifically the past year, has been extremely challenging just with everything going on with the pandemic and the restaurant industry.
Absolutely.
And moving, away from not being at the restaurant anymore and having to kind of make that transition. So this was something for myself that I said, I need to do this for me to prove to myself that I am strong, that I
Yes.
am worthy, and that everything that's happened in the past is in the past now. And now this is like the new start.
Oh, I
and
love
this is
that.
going forward.
Wow.
Thanks, guys.
That made me emotional. I'm like,
It's a journey.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like I didn't just like wake up one day and was like, I want to run this year. Like, no, it was something that I think I needed to do.
Yep.
wow.
That's great. I love that.
I am so impressed because I mean, the training alone is just like,
Oh, it's brutal. It's awful.
yeah.
But then there's my cousin, not to like sidetrack, but then there's my cousin, shout out Matthew Wood. Hi.
Hey.
Shout out.
Hey, Matt. So he lives in Southie, of course.
Love it.
Yeah, because he's in his 20s. And
You gotta.
he
Have to.
decided, yeah, so he went to Villanova and he rode crew. He was in like that Head of the Charles thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
That's so cool.
So he texted me like, I don't know, like 2.5 months ago and was like, I think I want to run. Like, what are your thoughts? And I was like, totally, do it. He got a charity and like 2 weeks later, like went out and did 20 miles.
So he's fine. So he can.
I love him so much.
You're
but
like,
at the-
screw you.
I was so mad.
I would have literally been so angry.
Oh, yeah.
It was
No,
ridiculous.
That's
20 miles.
A special kind of person can do that.
But
Very
he's
few,
also
I feel
like
like.
6'2". He's like 25.
He has long legs.
Nice long
Oh,
legs.
Yeah. I'm like,
Wow. So he's
know.
running it too.
He is.
So you'll
So
be there
fun.
together.
yeah, we're going to be there together. He's probably going to finish 3 hours before me, but that's
That's okay.
totally fine.
I mean,
Doesn't
he's a whole foot taller than you.
Literally.
So.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that,
That's okay.
that would be normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
We already kind of covered how you find the motivation to work out when you stay up so late. Someone asked, why wine, not beer or tequila? What's so special about wine?
Wow.
Because, that's That's a great question.
Yeah.
So there is actually, you can get certifications. So in the somm training, you learn about wine and beer and spirits.
You do?
You do. It's a very small section.
Okay.
But there's also, like, there's people that have taken classes about tequila.
Yeah.
And, like,
Yeah.
bourbon. Like, there's bourbon classes and whiskey classes.
And then brewers are obviously like
the craft beer.
Yeah.
That's like a huge, that's having, I mean, it's
My
been
gosh.
a moment now for a while.
yeah,
Yeah.
big moment.
Yeah, big. Like the craft beer industry is wild right now. I think with wine, it's kind of like everything has a story.
Yeah.
It's really cool that, you know, I can open up a bottle of wine that it's like a special occasion. And I can know that, like, this wine was rated 100 points by, like, all of the critics across the board because it was the perfect, like, growing season that year, and that it's been, you know, cellared for X amount of time. So this is, like, the perfect time to drink it. And, like, just knowing that, like, you're almost, like, drinking a piece of history.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what's really cool.
Have you gone
really
to
cool.
Napa ever?
No.
Oh my
It's
God.
the
I
best
was
place in the world.
supposed
You gotta go.
I know. I have to go. And I was going to go this winter, but I decided to sit by a pool instead.
That's
in the
unlike me.
Dominican.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, darn.
No one's judging you.
I can't
No
believe
one
you
is
decided
judging
to
me.
do that.
Could go to Napa, but like we haven't had a vacation since before the pandemic. So why don't we just sit by the
And
pool?
like Napa would feel a little bit like work,
Yeah,
probably
it would.
because it's like it's extending your knowledge on wine.
Right, exactly. And like you have to build, I would have to talk with like the reps to get
Yeah.
appointments at the different wineries,
Yeah.
and then you have to be like on, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I get it.
Dominican sounds a little bit more relaxing.
Yes.
It was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
That
Just
is
not getting
awesome.
stuck there for 2 days, but other than that,
You did get
the
stuck.
flight, yeah, we couldn't get out. We couldn't get out. It was, I mean, everyone's having flight problems right now. Like,
yeah.
It's real bad.
It's so bad.
But yeah, we were stranded there for like 2 days. Oh my gosh. It was.
I mean, worst places to be stranded, but it's bad when you're like
you
need
were,
to
like,
be
in
home.
we were in the airport. It's not even like we were going any.
Yeah.
You were
that-
stuck in there for 2 days. Oh, okay. That
Yeah,
sounds
it's
horrible.
trauma.
Trauma.
Oh my
So we
gosh.
kind of talked about this before we started recording, but what is your favorite wine?
So my favorite wine is so it's called 8 Years in the Desert. It's a red blend. I really love like red blends and Zinfandels.
Yum.
And when I
My
say
mom loves
Zinfandel,
Zinfandel.
right? But I don't mean white Zin.
No, she loves
she
red.
loves
red.
red.
Okay.
I don't
It's
like
so
white
funny
either.
when people are like, "Oh, like the Carlo Rossi, like white Zin."
You're like,
The pink
no.
wine.
Yeah, the pink wine. I'm like, no. So it's called 8 Years in the Desert. It's a red blend. It's absolutely fantastic. It's so just like rich and creamy and delicious. And there's a fantastic story behind it too. And which I can super quick.
Yeah.
but-
No,
So
so
tell
take your
us.
time.
Tell us.
Orin Swift is a really, really cool vineyard. It's in Napa. It's kind of like a new and upcoming winery. It hasn't been around for 100 years or whatever. And it's up and coming. And the reason why I was drawn to their wines in the first place was because every wine has kind of a cool label on it. And
Love
then I later-
labels.
Label. Yeah, it's all about the label.
All
right?
about the label.
And then I found out that the labels are actually photographs that were taken by people, like the proprietors and things like that. Yeah, so that's really cool. But so it's called 8 Years in the Desert, and the winemaker, his name is Dave Finney, who works for Orin Swift. And then I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Prisoner.
Yep.
Okay, so Dave Finney basically created The Prisoner when he worked for Prisoner Wine Company.
Oh, wow.
And when he left Prisoner Wine Company to do his own winemaking, he had to sign a non-compete, so he couldn't make a Zinfandel for 8 years or a red blend for 8 years. So thus, after the 8 years is over, he created 8 Years in the Desert.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Wait, I love that story.
That is so cool.
And that was why I was able to sell. I mean, I would sell cases of that wine at the restaurant because I had that.
Yeah.
You have that story with
Yeah.
it, and it's
That is-
great.
and
That's
people,
so
and then
cool.
it's a delicious wine on top of it. And
Right. It's
yeah.
not too heavy. It's not dusty. I am not a fan of those big French, you drink it and you're your mouth is dry, and you're scraping the tannins off
Yeah,
your
no.
tongue.
I can't with
I
those.
can't do it. I can't do
That's
it.
when you need a tongue scraper at night.
Yeah,
Like,
Ugh.
you gotta brush the red off
Yeah,
of your tongue.
no,
Literally,
yeah.
your whole mouth is stained, and you're like, "What's happening?" So for my Trader Joe's girlies, which is I am one of them. Have you ever shopped wine at Trader Joe's?
I haven't shopped wine at Trader Joe's, but my uncle, who's a huge wine guy, he goes to Costco for his wine
Really?
deals.
Really?
Yes. I've heard that there's amazing
Wine there?
amazing wine at Costco.
So
Wow.
what would you say your favorite like inexpensive like but very good wine is for red and any white, like any red and any white?
So, that's a great question. So if you want to so I would say for white, if you wanted just like say Sauvignon Blanc,
Yeah.
like super approachable,
Yeah.
everyone's gonna like it, not too expensive. I would probably say, probably like the Kim Crawford.
Yeah.
Which I mean, there's like the commercials, and I
Yes.
actually, I was really good friends with this chef. Her name was Liz Bramwell. That was one of her favorite wines.
Really?
She loved wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kim
I've
Crawford's
tried it.
good.
I like it. Yeah, I like.
That's good. That's
I
good.
like that. I like Santa Margarita for like basics.
So
You know,
Santa
yeah.
Margarita Pinot Grigio is fantastic.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
one too.
so good.
Yeah.
That's very good. For reds, that's tough.
I know, because
Red
I
is
mean,
tough.
red is tough because I
There's
feel like
so many.
there are so many, and there
It's preference of what kind of red you want.
right, and there's
too.
so many.
Pinot Noirs,
Right.
Cab Sav.
Ugh, I'm a literal hoe for Cab Sav. I could just it's my favorite.
Do you love do you like it more on the fruitier side, or do you like it more on the drier side?
I like a more fruity cab.
Okay.
But like, here's the thing, I don't know. I'll drink a dry one, but it always depends on what I'm eating with it. Which like I'm one of those people
She's
where
like
I'm,
a
That's
foodie.
great. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, my dad also works in the wine industry as well. So like he's kind of made me a bit of a wine snob, which I'm not proud of at like 25 years old. Like
No, it's good. You have to start
gotta know what you
early.
like. You gotta know what you
I'm
like.
a little bit of a brat about it, but I don't know. I'm team fruity. I know Carly's shardy party all the way.
I'm a shardy party.
Like-
I love a good shard to the nene.
It's like apple juice, but with alcohol.
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
It's
Okay,
wild
so
that
I
hate
used to be
Chardonnay.
a Riesling girl. I used to be like a.
Same
Riesling's
here.
great.
Love
Yes,
Riesling.
I
And
loved it.
You know that Riesling is one of like probably the most undervalued. Like those grapes that they use to make Riesling are thousands of years old, but like it's not getting its moment because people just assume that it's like a fruity white.
because
Yeah.
it's sweet.
Exactly,
But
but
they're
no,
dry.
it's really there is dry. So Dr. Lucen for a dry Riesling.
Oh, really?
Dr.
Really?
Lucen.
We were relaxed Riesling.
Yes.
bitches.
Oh, Relax is
We
a good one. That blue bottle.
Yes, I
Absolutely.
loved Relax.
Yes.
I remember the first year I was 21, and this is like a tiny little sidebar. It was like Christmas, and like me and Carly were in our Riesling moment.
Prime.
Like
Yeah.
we were like, oh, us, we drink wine, we drink Relax, you know, obviously. And we asked our dad to get like a case of Relax.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, we made every single one of our friends become like obsessed with a Riesling.
But now all of our taste buds have evolved. Like
Yeah.
now that's too sweet for us. You know what I mean?
Honestly,
Yep.
now though, like I won't drink it by like every day, but in the summer, like a nice Riesling is
Oh,
so
absolutely.
good.
Or
Yeah.
like a rosé.
Rosé.
What's your favorite
So-
rosé?
Oh man, I would probably have to say Miraval, which is from the Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt's vineyard, which
Oh,
they're not together
really?
anymore. But I don't know if they both like still co-own it or whatever. But it's their vineyard in California.
Wow.
Oh my
And
gosh.
It's called Miraval, and it's delicious. I think I
Miraval.
brought Whispering Angel for you.
Oh my!
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I brought something else that's better.
Okay, well, I love Whispering Angel, but I also like. I really was into rosé. I think it was rosé all day last year, and I like a sweeter rosé still. Like I don't love a dry rosé. I don't know. I guess I have a sweet tooth, but I don't like Moscato.
Oh no, that's a dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like out to dinner and like like someone's like newly 21 and they're like, oh, I'll have a glass of Moscato, and I'm always like,
Yikes.
okay, like sure.
You're like, you
I'll
sure?
get you that glass.
I can get you something
exactly.
else.
That glass of
You really
sugar,
want that?
like it
Yeah.
tastes literally like you're chewing on granulated sugar. Like I'm sorry, but
It is.
It
No,
really
it's
does.
so sweet.
But for any of you girlies that feel targeted by that, start drinking Riesling. Or what's the other one? It's like a fancy word. I feel like
Gewürztraminer.
yes. I really like the,
Gewürztraminer's delicious.
they're
Yes.
super good too and
Yeah.
sweeter.
It's a little bit sweeter, so it's on like a Riesling kind of same
like a vibe. Yeah.
Riesling vibe, but it is a little bit sweeter.
Yeah,
it.
And it's
so
fun to say. Another word, fun to say.
I know it is fun to say, and you'll sound
Gewürztraminer.
really fancy instead of saying you want Moscato.
Yeah.
You won't get the
Exactly.
weird look.
You really won't see a lot of Gewürztraminer by the glass, though.
No.
when
Yeah.
you use. You would probably have to get a bottle.
Honestly, I forget where I went the other day, and there was one by the glass, and I almost ordered it just for funsies, but I was like, it's cold out. I can't drink white wine when it's cold.
Really?
I think of like the wines that I did drink before I even started having like any interest in wine, and I am like,
yeah, like
it's
shivers.
full on cringe.
It's what's the kangaroo wines or like
The yellowtail.
yellowtail.
I don't even know so I'm just gonna say it. I don't even care. So I loved Seven Deadly Zins,
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah.
and I think I tasted that recently, and I was like, woof! Like, what was that? It was just, it's very sweet.
It's
is.
everywhere
It's just,
though.
like,
Yeah.
It's everywhere, and you can get it. I mean, because it's it's
like
they take
$7.99
grapes from
or
like
$10.
all different. So that's why like you're able to get wines like that like in store, and it's like relatively inexpensive
Mm-hmm.
because what they're doing is they're just taking grapes from like all these other vineyards and just like putting them together to make that wine.
Oh,
Whereas like you get like start to get a higher priced wine when the vines are older, when you're getting it from like a single vineyard versus multiple vineyards.
that's so interesting.
Wow.
I literally love this because I love wine so
Yeah, I know.
much. I'm
I
like,
have a really fun Shiraz that I brought that I think that you would really like. It's like a Shiraz Cabernet blend.
ooh,
So it takes grapes from a Shiraz in Australia, because Australia is known for their Shiraz, and then it takes grapes, a cab grapes from Napa, and it puts them together.
Wow.
And
That
because
sounds.
it's two of the best vines like for those varieties, and then they put them together.
Wow.
Yeah.
see, that's
I'm
the coolest
actually-
part about wine though,
Yeah.
because like there's
It's like a creation.
never ending like combinations too. I feel like you can just always have something, but
So I have a couple questions before we close this out. What charity are you running for?
Yes.
Where can people donate to it?
yep.
And where can they find you? And if they have questions, are you open to questions?
Like on your
DMs?
Instagram?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
So Instagram is Cat Corbo. Like
Cat Corbo.
everything else.
CAT, not KAT.
No, CAT, yes. And thank you to Meg Mars for giving me that name, because no one had ever like used my first and last name together before I like started spinning.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. It was I was like always Cat or Catherine, but never Cat Corbo, and now I'm like Cat Corbo everywhere.
Oh, I love
it.
that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh
It's
my
fun.
gosh.
So I am running for the Jillian Rainey Stepping Strong Foundation. It's out of Brigham and Women's Hospital, and they are doing research for trauma victims that have lost limbs.
Wow,
so
that's amazing.
It was started by a family whose daughter actually lost her leg in the Boston Marathon bombings. Which when I had started researching charities, I knew that I wanted to run for a charity that had some sort of involvement with the bombings, because that was when I was working at MIT. And I actually knew Officer Sean Collier as well.
Oh my gosh.
So I had, kind of said to myself, I want to do this for him. I want to do this for all the families out there that were affected by that tragedy, because it, it affected me in a personal way.
Of course.
So it's just, they're fantastic. And there's so many people that are running. I mean, we have like thousands of runners that are running for that charity.
Wow.
So it's so much fun. And if you want to donate, you can just go on the Stepping Strong website. And then my slogan is Cat's Marathon Mission.
I love
it.
that. Okay. So make
Awesome.
sure if you have the means to go donate to that amazing cause.
And if not, look out for her. Do you know your bib number yet or no?
I do. I don't know it like off the top
Yeah,
of my
I was
head.
like, it's.
But
a
I'm gonna
string
have
of
like my
numbers.
space buns.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
I'm sure I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb, and I'll have the Stepping Strong
Jersey.
jersey on and everything like that.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I'm
We
super
will be at the
excited.
halfway
Yes.
point. Do you
Cheering
have
you on.
So excited.
Do you have any closing statements that you want to make to the Eat the Damn Cake, the baby cakes?
Yeah.
The baby cakes.
So cute.
I know.
I love that. I guess basically from what I've learned from the whole like past like year and 3 years with everything that's kind of happened in our like changing world is I think we kind of all have to give ourselves, cut ourselves a little bit of slack. It's been
Yes.
such a challenging time for everybody. And I think that it's really important to maybe even be a little selfish, to
Yep.
make sure that you're putting yourself first and that you're taking care of
Absolutely.
yourself. And if there's something that you really want to do because you think that's going to be for the betterment of you and those around you, that you need to just do it. And that was kind of why I decided to run, because I said I need to do this for myself.
Amen. Love it.
Amen, sister. I love that so much.
Well, we hope you all loved Kat Corbo
As much as we did.
as we did. Go follow her, Kat Corbo, on Instagram.
Yep.
CAT CORBO. right?
Yes.
Yeah. I can't spell out loud and picture it in my head. That is like something in my brain that disconnects. Please do not forget to rate, review, subscribe, and feel free to reach out to her. Slide into DMs if you have any questions, if you need a wine recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
I know,
Absolutely.
actually, but you're like on the clock. You that's like
Oh
off the
no,
clock for you.
but I talk about wine. I love wine.
I know,
All right,
right?
Absolutely, I love wine. Anytime.
Or if you want to catch a spin class with her on the Cape or wherever.
Yes.
Yes.
Monday nights, always 5:15, 6:15.
Love that for you.
With Meg, Mondays with Meg.
Mondays with Meg, that's a thing.
Yes. I
that
love
is
that.
a major thing.
Yes, it is
That's a
like
vibe.
it's
Ugh, Meg's the
waitlisted every
best.
week, right? Yeah.
Especially the 6:15.
You got to slither in. You
Slither
gotta
on in there.
Wait lists work. People.
Yeah, they do.
do,
I
actually.
love it. You should you should work for Bespoke. Come on.
Maybe soon.
Maybe
One
soon.
day.
Maybe one day.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Well, thank you again. You're
Thank you, guys.
amazing.
You guys are
And
awesome.
everyone have a great rest of your week.
Go get after it. Eat the damn cake. Love you. Bye.